Okay, I'll share with you what the three of us who represent the 7 billion of the world's population are doing. We want to bring them into this conversation and into this campus. And the first thing that we did was take very seriously the exploratory committee report and sent a bunch of questions. And we are looking for those answers. But while we wait for those answers, we also then took it further. And we've had only one meeting of the three conveners. And we start off with being the campus that generates the most Peace Corps volunteers in this country. We're also the campus with 1,000 international affairs majors. That's an interdisciplinary major. So the journalism school reached out to international affairs 4 or 5 years ago and created a joint interdepartmental certificate in international media. And one of the things we're doing right now is talking to international affairs and to the assistant dean in journalism about how we could open that up to the rest of the campus. Because right now we only admit 20 students a year. We could open that up, but it would mean offering many more sections of courses, and that's a financial implication. So that's one curricular option we're talking about. We've also talked about a certificate on reporting Asia. Again, this is to address the silos that may have existed, and we're saying, okay, we've got a Center for Asian Studies and we teach reporting in the journalism school. Why don't we combine those two areas? We've talked about online master's program in communication and international development. We have 2.5 billion of the world's population live in poverty. And so we would like to address those kinds of issues through an online program. We know that our master's program is small because of financial implications. So making an online program will open it up to students all over the world. We would also like to open this up to the Peace Corps master's programs, and I think one of us is speaking to people on this campus about generating one of the Peace Corps recognized masters for returning Peace Corps volunteers. We've talked about contacting embassies that now increasingly have public diplomacy budgets, so they could use some of their budgets, and I've contacted the Embassy of India, since I'm a native of India, to see whether they could finance a visiting professor who will be here from India. So those are the kinds of things that we're doing. We have the list of about 150 faculty who were identified in the exploratory report, and we will survey them and ask them about their international interests so we know who's a real tangible group we could count on. We're also looking at the models that were identified in the exploratory report to see what they do internationally. That gives you a feel for where we're at in one meeting.
Tim, did you want to get?
Sure. So I just want to make a statement about research. So we are a research university, a Tier 1 research university, and much of the discussion here is about what is the areas of research, what's the intellectual content of what we're thinking about here. And the reason we're doing that, even though it seems to many undergraduates quite disjoint from what they do as undergraduates, it's precisely because we want our undergraduates to get the best undergraduate education. We want to teach them not how to be the best journalist of yesterday or the best computer science of yesterday, but we want them to be the best journalist of the future. And so we need to move forward in what is journalism going to be. We need to understand that. We need to understand what all of these different areas are going to be. And so we should keep that in mind, that this is in part a exercise of what are we going to do as academics, but it's also what are we going to do as an educational institution. What's our goals to lead our students into the future, not to prepare them for the past. So,
yeah, I have a few statements. I would imagine that if you're going into journalism, you're going to have to, if not already, very soon, learn how to authenticate the information that you see. because a digital universe is very, very fragile. It's highly manipulative. You're not sure. It depends upon your source materials. You're not sure if the images that you're seeing are real images, whether they've been altered, manipulated. Same thing with digital communications. And this is some of the issues that we're discussing in our group, the Digital Humanities Group. What we preserve is going to depend, it's going to pretty much determine the future of digital humanities. And it's probably going to determine the future of journalism as well, because you're really going to have to struggle with the idea of authenticating information, of authenticating your sources, especially the written sources, images, and so forth. And the preservation of this kind of information is also going to inform how documentary films are made, how art is made in the future. In fact, there already is in the present, it has in the past. How do we preserve those new art forms? So this is a very difficult issue that relies an awful lot on technology. In order to, of course, to read past technology, past communications, you have to preserve the machines in which they're produced. So these are some of the issues that we're struggling with, and one of our ideas is we very much want to reach out to the technology community in Boulder. We're trying to arrange meetings with Google, which is in the human memory business, as well as other things. I know they're entangled in a myriad of lawsuits, but they have enough money to defend themselves. There's also another very interesting organization, social media organization. In Boulder, it's called GNIP, and they're archiving billions of tweets for the Library of Congress, to preserve for the Library of Congress. And this is a massive project. They have apparently the technology to know how to do that. They're doing it free of cost for the Library of Congress. It's kind of an experiment for them. So we can kind of envision bringing these people in, hopefully, and getting their advice, and what are they looking for? What kind of curriculum would they like to see? What kind of students would they like to see coming out of this information school that they could employ? And we could see having students interning with these various organizations, with these various computer high-tech companies in Boulder to learn new skills. And so we hope there can be kind of a seamless operation between the new School of Information and these high-tech firms in Boulder. And I think that'd be a beautiful way of giving people, students, new skills and really acclimate them to the real world of what's happening, so they're not so cloistered within university.
Other comments from the audience?
Hi, my name's Jan Witt, and I teach literature and media studies, and I actually have two questions. I don't want to cut off any responses, but it occurs to me that one question probably is to the steering committee and the other one perhaps to Jeff. The first question is, as Dirk mentioned, there are lots of ICT programs across the country, and some of them quite successful. Why don't we just reify what they've done? In other words, what is it that we want to do differently or more creatively than what those programs are about? That's the first question. The second one, I think, is to Jeff. This is an evolving process, and it strikes me that we can't be right all the time. And so I'm wondering, as you've gone through this process with all the people in the room, what is it that we're missing? In other words, if you could step back and add particular people or reference particular programs on campus, who might you want included in the conversation now that we didn't envision at the beginning? So